Here we are again. Let's talk crafting. Let's talk crafting specifically as it pertains to disabilities because my specific issue, which is a visual impairment, has absolutely mucked up the goals for the week. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Jocelyn. Let's talk about goals and how disabilities, specifically my disability, a visual impairment, can muck with the plans. This is a crafting podcast. I talk about crafting things, and hopefully, I do it in a fun and entertaining way. This week, the video had been, well, the goal had been to finish my ancient Greek chieftain to then be able to show you guys a sewn garment. Now, I've been sewing for a fairly long time. I've been knitting and crocheting for less time. Totally fine. But I do like making my own clothes, primarily because I like the fit you get from a handmade garment. I like how I feel when I wear handmade garments. It's a sense of completion and like pride. I did a thing. I also have to acknowledge that I am visually impaired. I'm heavily visually impaired. I am well past the markers for legally blind. I have RP, and while I don't and probably will never discuss in detail a lot of what that entails, as it is private and it is medical in nature, I am comfortable sharing parts of it with you guys so you can sort of understand that we all are going to come to crafting from a different place with different skills, with different goals, and with different restrictions. Mine are going to be different than yours because we are not the same person. And that's super fine. And that's totally fair. And it's that adaptation. It's learning how to make crafting or a handmade house or doing the things that I do feasible for me are going to be different than what you would need to do to make them feasible for you. So, primarily, this is sort of an example of what can happen. My ancient Greek chieftain is being made in some wonderful black and rose patterned fabric. Now, here's the trick. I said the word black, which means I'm using a black thread. I'm using a black thread on a black fabric. I am not seeing any of what I am working on. There's no, it's all by touch, it's all by feel, it's all by memory. Now, while I am comfortable doing this, that does mean that I have to wait till I have what I call a usable vision day, which is different than every day. Every day, a vast majority of my vision is unhelpful. It is unusable. It's there, it exists. It does no good for me. And I have done a lot of things to adapt my life so that I can make my meals and do my work and sort of continue on with my day. There is, however, very concrete walls, not lines in the sand, concrete walls that I will run headlong into and then be forced to stop. And one of them this week for me was doing anything in a smaller yarn or in a sewing capacity. I just couldn't get my eyes to focus enough to manage, even with the adaptations I have set up for sewing. I have to let my vision or my lack of vision dictate what I do and do not get done for the day. And it is always going to be in charge. That is absolutely outside the realm of my control. In the meantime, I was able to do some stuff this week. So instead of talking about sewing, as that has currently been delayed, and we await a usable vision day, I did do some work on the scrap busting project or on bringing my stash totals down. A fair bit of it was planning, not unusual for me. Some of it was casting on with wild abandon, also not unusual for me. And some of it has been allowing myself to be enabled into new projects uh, because. Because. But let's talk about things that I have finished this week, things that I want to get started this week, or things I have started this week, and things that I am hoping to be able to pick up and work on because it doesn't matter if I have a usable vision day or not, I can still approach and access those specific projects. They are at a point where I can divest any visual component from it for me. So here we go. Let's start with finishes because those are always fun. Up first, I was feeling a little bummed out Monday, Tuesday when I realized probably wasn't going to be a sewing week. And I was like, ugh, I just didn't feel like I was accomplishing anything. So to get myself out of that funk, I was like, I need a quick win. I need something that I can do relatively quick and easy that isn't going to require a lot of strenuous work on my part, either visually or with my hands, and that will give me that sense of like, no, yeah, you can still do things. You can't do them on the time schedule that your brain would like to do them on. And it's okay to have to chill and change gears every once in a while. One of those quick wins for me was the Scrappy Happy market basket. Oh wait, this is super cute little bag, guys. This is a free pattern. You can find it on Ravelry. I will include the link below if I can figure out how to make links work. If I can't, there will be, I will figure out something. This is easy to find on Ravelry. It is a free crocheted market tote, bag, basket, whatever you want to use it for. Ignore the yarn on the inside. That's for something else entirely different. We, however, are going to talk about this. I decided the first thing I wanted to work my way through if I could, because like the tote of acrylic worsted is like, that's a huge project. I wanted to also start making my way through the Briggs and Little leftover yarn that I have, because I have a fair chunk of that leftover yarn. So I grabbed 4 strands of worsted and I held them together and I crocheted this wonderful little scrappy market bag. It is marled. I got pink in here. I got like a gray, black in here. I got white. No, I got blacks. I got grays. I've got pinks and reds. Anyway, it marled together really pretty. And I'm thinking like all of the bags will do this, so I'm not super worried about it. And I was tickled pink. It took me technically over the course of 2 days because I did the bottom half of the basket and then I set it down and then I did the top half of the basket the next day, primarily as working in 4 strands of yarn on a 9mm hook is still very tight crochet work, which you want bags to be tight. You don't want a loosey goosey bag. Your stuff will fall out. So I definitely had to give myself a handbrake. However, having said that, this is like it's the size of it's not a small tote, guys. Like it's a pretty beefy tote. It's a pretty beefy little tote basket thing. I don't think I'd ever use it as a basket. I definitely wouldn't ever use it as a market bag because this would not hold a week's worth of vegetables for me. Maybe to the farmer's market as a way of carrying my other farmer's market bags in a cute bag with my wallet. Like, okay, I could see that. No, I just these are project bags. These are for me, these are knitting project bags, crochet project bags. Like if I'm going to my sister's house for the day, like with my wallet and stuff, just toss it in there with whatever I'm working on, right? Like super cute. Maybe if I'm out to going for brunch, going to the coffee shop to do a little bit of work or something, like my tablet would fit in here great. Be sticking out the end of it. It's a cute little like purse tote bag basket situation, which means you can use it for whatever it is you want to use it for. Once I was done doing a little bit feel good project situation, making myself feel like a little more like a productive adult contributing member of my society. I don't know how that works for me, but it works for me. So this is what we're doing. I was like, okay, we're on a roll. Let's finish some other things. That would be great, right? Like, yeah, we'll end the week strong. We started the week strong. We can do this. And oh boy, did I. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I decided to save myself some grief and I wasn't going to weigh the yarn in my current whips bins. So any projects that I have currently on the needles or had currently on the needles before I started sorting my yarn do not count towards stash debusting goals because that yarn was never counted in the stash. Some pros and cons to that. I mean, the pro was it means I didn't have to go through and like weigh all the yarn. I had every single one of my projects and also accumulate that somewhere and keep track of that in a different tabs. Okay, it saved me some work up front. It does mean that sometimes when I'm finishing things, I'm not going to be able to count those balls of yarn as having left my stash. I, in effect, may be adding to my stash if there's leftover yarn going back into the stash. In the case of the Briggs and Little Grey Heather that I have very slowly been doing, this is from a reclaimed sweater. So this was once already a thing that I never wore. I loved making it. I loved putting it together. Super cute cardigan, but I never wore the thing. I found it the density of the sweater too much and I run warm. So there wasn't enough air ventilation for the very warm human that I am. Delightful pattern though. So if you're a cold human and you like to crochet, yeah, there's tons of beautiful patterns out there. But I did want this yarn as crochet because I think Briggs & Little looks great as crochet because Briggs & Little looks great as crochet. And I wanted it to be something that was lighter, that was looser, that was easier for me to approach wearing a worsted weight garment in. And I made a pattern because, of course, I made a pattern. I didn't see anything I liked, so I'm making my own. That's generally how these things go for me. This is my everyday favorite cardigan. This is the second one I have now made. This is the regular length version with buttons. With buttons. There's a long version that lives on my mannequin behind me that is no buttons. It is, however, a very long, drapey, sleeved, boxy-ish. Boxy-ish? I say boxy because it's the standard drape dropped shoulders. It's the standard drop shoulders. So it tends to lean towards a more box shape figure. But it's just repeat pattern, lacing, and solid rows. And I have found with my long version in the red that I made earlier this year, I was able to wear that pretty late into the spring season. So I'm very excited to be into the early mid-fall season and see if I can wear this as well. However, I don't get to count all the yardage for this, which is a bit of a disappointment. However, now we have a problem and a bit of a dilemma. I need to get more things done. Oh, and I cast it on a whole new thing. Let's end with the cast on. Let's talk about the things I need to get done. I need to get some projects done. I need to very specifically free up some needles for what I know is going to be an expansive fall cast on session. I love casting things on. And usually for me, cast-ons start to pick up anywhere around the first weekend in August in through like October. I don't know why. I have this overwhelming need to make sure every single needle in my collection is in use and then buy a few more needles to cast on a few more things. It's like a sickness. I can't help myself. I am so happy in the chaos that it's kind of ridiculous. And we're gearing up to that time of year again. I can feel it in my bones. I'm starting to get distracted. I don't want to finish anything I'm working on. I want to start a whole bunch of stuff. So before that fully takes over, let's see if I can get something done. It does fit into the realm of scraps, even though I can't again, it's already a WIP in progress, so I cannot count it towards removing things. It does, however, count for making things out of scrap yarn, making do with what you have in your stash. Earlier this year, I cast on a Scrappy V sweatshirt. It's fingering weight, so technically it's a t-shirt. It's t-shirt. It's fingering weight. It's a t-shirt. I saw the Scrappy V pattern and was like, that's so cute. And it's got a V-neck. And I was like, okay, I might need to make this. And then I kept thinking about it, and I was like, I absolutely need to make this. And then I went into my stash, and I pulled out a bunch of Fireweed Fabrico yarn that I have. I'm friends with the dyer, Erin, and I have bought her yarn for years now. So I got a healthy stash just of her yarn, and I love how saturated her colorways are. So as I love how saturated her colors are, I love wearing them. They're bright, they're bold, they're cheerful, and they make me feel good when I'm wearing them, which is great. I decided to make the Scrappy V and do an elbow length sleeve, so you can see the color rotations. I pulled 4 skeins of fingering weight yarn, which is all of the yardage I require to make a sweater at my size. We should talk dimensions and gauge. So I am on gauge for the garment, but I did not make my chest measurement size. This is a very conscious decision on my part. I am happier with a fitted garment than I am with a slouchy, relaxed, or loose garment. If it is something that I'm wearing and it's a shirt or it's a skirt or it's a dress, I don't like the baggy styles on me. I don't like how they look. I made a 48-inch bust, even though technically I am a 52-inch bust. The rest of me is a 48-inch bust. So that's the size I tend to make. So my sleeves are good. My shoulders are good. I did skip out on some of the extra rows just for sizing personally for me and how my inseam length is in between my collar and where my shoulders are. However, I make up for that as I require a very long body. I need 22 inches of body from armpit to the bottom of the hem. So I need 20 inches of knitted body and 2 inches of hemming. Ribbing at the bottom. Hemming at the bottom, ribbing at the bottom. This is not 20 inches. This is not 20 inches. It's closer to 20 inches, but it is not 20 inches. However, we roughly are in 2-inch rotations for color changes. I just switched from color A, which is a beautiful dark black red winged blackbird from Faraway Fabrica, and we're into a lighter blue. I do, however, want to get this done. I have a specific place I'd like to wear this. I would like to be wearing this for the Manitoba Fiber Festival in September. And I don't have that much farther to go. I'm not at 20 inches, but I don't have that much farther to go. So I feel like I should pick this up and try to make this my I'm having a bad day knitting where I can't focus on anything. Why? Because I taught myself to knit in the round without looking. So I don't need to see my stitches to work on my stitches. And that's important because I don't need to see them. Don't ask why. I'm left-handed. I knit inside out and backwards. My whole life is weird. It's just how it is. Because I don't need to see my stitches. I actually, and I'll talk you guys through this because it's going to be pretty hard to show on screen here, but I use my index finger on my non-working needle, and I use my index finger on my working needle to be my eyeballs. So I will push my yarn up pretty close to the tips of the needles, and then I will separate the stitch I want to put on next. Geez. Summers and motorcycles, people. Summers and motorcycles. I will move the next stitch I want to work on forward, and I will separate it with my index finger, and then I will use the one on the working needle to tell me where the needle is so that I can start my knit stitch. So I can do things like this and knit, but I'm literally looking at you guys instead. I'm not actually looking at what I'm doing. This is how I make my hobby approachable to me. I have many projects at this stage for this reason. If I have a bad sight week, there's nothing I can do. Like, I can't build the shoulders of a sweater out. I couldn't do a lace pattern. Color work is probably beyond me. There's a lot of counting and stuff, so like I might be able to, but you'd have to be able to read the chart. Most charts are not accessible to me without a lot of fiddling and a lot of work. But a basic stockinette in the round situation, I don't need to look at. A garter, same idea. Like if I'm knitting garter, also don't need to look. Now this takes practice and effort and time to master, to get good at. But if you can, it would let you do other things. So like maybe you don't need to not look at your knitting because you're visually impaired and you got crappy eyeball days. Maybe you like to watch television, but you like to craft more. Well, if you learn to knit without looking, you can then watch TV and enjoy the Olympics or sports or whatever Game of Thrones or whatever's. I don't watch TV, guys. I don't know. Bridgerton, that's the name I know. Like, you can do that and you can give your eyeballs over solely to the focus of the television and your brain over pretty much solely to what it is you're working on, knowing that your knitting is just happening automatically in the background. So, a perk. However, I think this has got to be the thing I try to push next to be like my great big whale project that I finish so that it's done because it's still a lot of stitches. Still a lot of stitches. I did, however, count up the last of the found yarn. There's probably more somewhere, and I'm really just not going to think about it right now. And we will add it in and take it out as we need to. That means I have new totals. Yay, totals. I did successfully take out some yarn. So let's add in the new stuff, take out the stuff I use that actually counts, and we can all hope that I do better for the next time I check in with you guys. Oh boy, here we go. Where's my phone? I found and counted another 26 point something skeins of yarn. So of course I did. Of course. I know for sure there is still a box of fingering weight 50-gram minis floating around somewhere for a specific sock project that is not on the needle, so I still have to count that at some point. I have yet to see the box. I think I know exactly where the box is, but I am not going to go hunting it at this moment in time. So our grand, oh God, that's so. Our grand total as it sits before we take out the scrappy tote, the 2 scrappy totes that I made, is 396 balls and 0.2 of the ball. This is at 100 grams per ball because it's so much yarn. So much yarn. Okay, so I'm definitely over 400 balls. Guys, I'm over 400 balls of yarn. Oh my god, I have so much yarn. Okay, and we're gonna talk about the thing I just started that's gonna help make some of that go away here in a hot second. Let's take out the yarn that I did use up. Using my gram method to count skeins coming out of this vast dragon hoard of yarn that I have, I used 80 grams of worsted weight for the Happy Market bag. I used 4 strands of worsted weight in each market bag. So I used 80 grams times 4, which is 300 and change. 300 and something. Wait, I have a calculator. I could do this. Let's calculate this on a phone. That's why we have these things. Right? No, is that not why we have these things? Am I wrong? Nope, 320 grams per Scrappy Happy Market basket, bag, tote. Ugh. I think it's called basket. A pattern says basket. I think you can use it for whatever you want. And I made 2 of them. So that's 640 grams, which means, ooh, hey, that's exciting. I used 6.4 skeins of yarn, according to math, right? Did I do that right? Yes, because you moved the decimal point 2 places to count as 100. Oh, I can take 6.4 skeins out. Oh, I love that. Okay, so we have 395.02 minus 6.4. I have 388.62 balls of yarn left. Hot dang. That's still a lot. But you know what? We took 6 out. That's okay. I need to find more fun totes that I want to make because that was a lot of yarn. That's a lot of yarn, you guys. Okay. This is good. Feeling good about this. This we can do. Let's talk about the thing I casted on real quick. I joined in on a crochet along. There's going to be a lot of crochet, guys. I really thoroughly enjoy crochet work. Alt Knots is doing a countdown to Halloween crochet along, a corner to corner blanket crochet along. I have a lot of acrylic worsted scraps, and that's great for blankets, in my mind. Anyway, keeping that in mind. Well, the pattern that she put out is flippin' delightful. It doesn't fit the theme of what I like to do. I knew going in that that was sort of ideal. I watched the announcement video of Alt Knots when she was setting up announcing her Halloween countdown, and she said you didn't have to do the pattern if it wasn't your aesthetic. You could just do a striped corner to corner blanket and join in on the fun. I'm like, perfect. I can join in on the fun. I can still participate in the countdown to like my favorite holiday of the year, which is Halloween. And I can do it in a format and in a way that keeps to the make, do, and mend idea that I'm trying to stick to. Not religiously, obviously, since I will be buying more yarn and casting out projects for fun. However, keeping as close as I'm comfortable doing. And it does allow me to eat up a lot of my scraps and make a cute blanket at the same time. So we are 6 days in. So I have 6 days worth of rows. Right now, we are doing 2 rows a day, which makes sense. They're very short rows. They're very short rows. Like day 1 was like 3 squares and you were finished. At some point, it will become 1 row a day, simply due to the fact that they will become very long rows. I do, however, have 4 very large balls of this wonderful beige tweed from Burnett Premium. I know it's Burnett Premium because it still has a ball band on 2 of the balls. I have 4 balls of that yarn. I weighed that out. And I have tons of small amounts of blues, purples, and grays in acrylic in worsted weight, which makes this great for a scrap busting project that will look good in my apartment in the ever-growing cottagecore granny-esque theme that seems to be slowly taking over my life. I can't say it's cottagecore, I can't say it's grandma-core, but I am somewhere between a hobbit and an 85-year-old lady. I don't know how we got here. I don't know how we got here, but this is where we got. So I know I have a big scrap busting project. It's going to take 100 days to finish because I'm participating in the crochet along, but I am working on it. Hopefully you guys are doing well. I'd love to know what you guys are working on. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what's up in your crafting zone, as it were. And I will say until the next time I see you guys, stay safe.